What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the show. AOR here, and in today's episode, we are going to be doing a live discussion, Dome Ambition and I, about the nuances of the upcoming patch or update to Grey Zone Warfare. And as you can tell, I have listened to you guys and have picked up this webcam. So hopefully this is exactly what you guys wanted. And you guys can feel a little bit more included in the discussion with Dome and I today. We will have the chat going, and feel free to pop in with questions as Dome and I discuss kind of the news, if you will, about this upcoming update. And the spring of this year, as what they've said, and fall updates that was disclosed, at least during that developer discussion board with some of the community leaders that you're probably familiar with if you've been shopping around on YouTube for different content creators for Grey Zone Warfare. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hop in with Dome in the Discord now. He may not be ready quite yet. We'll give him a second.
Yo, yo, yo.
Dome Ambition, ladies and gentlemen.
It's your boy, Dome Ambition, aka Dome 30. Also here with Alanon of Riverwood, also known as AOR. Chat, how we doing today? If you're tuned in, hope you're having a wonderful, fantastic Tuesday. In the sunny weather of Utah, it's been snowing all day. Kind of been sucky to drive home in this acclimated weather, but hopefully we cheer your spirits up with a discussion.
Yeah, this is like
excited.
Kind of new for us both, in fact.
We both are trying this out. It's very test worthy. If you have, obviously, comments, things that you want to see that can potentially improve or be better about, obviously let us know. But this is our first kind of somewhat podcast here. Also, I don't know if he made a big deal about it. I doubt that he did. This is the first time that AOR is on camera.
Hi.
He is doxing himself on camera. What a
kind of
legend.
Feels that way, actually.
What a legend. I don't think you guys would ever see the day, huh?
Honestly, I wasn't going to do it, to be honest. And then everyone kept bugging me about it in the chat. So here we are.
Here we are. Well, I appreciate it. I think I feel less alone streaming.
That's good.
Basically, by myself.
Yeah.
But it could have the opposite effect. You can get a lot of people to unsub from you because they might think you're too sexy of a man to follow.
This is true. This is a good point.
It's happened to me. So don't get into your feels. Let's jump into discussion. I have a couple points I want to bring up from the previous stream that the community did with the CEO and the community manager that I think would be super beneficial to go over. Let's pull this up. I got my notes page. Let me drag this over so I can read it off for you. Unless you want to go first. I thought I wanted to go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
But if you want to go first.
Yeah.
Okay. Things. So in the works that I thought and laid out that were super exciting that are coming up here in the future patches of this game, everything coming up is seasons. They wanted to add seasons to the game. Now they already added a day and night cycle. That was kind of huge for 2.0. From when they first released that, the big major update from essentially season 1 to season 2.
Yeah.
And AOR and I were talking about how we were really enjoying the suck of season 1.
It was precious.
It did stink at times, but I mean, the game was nice in of itself. But it's exciting to see what kind of diamond they shape out of this rock of a game that has so much opportunity, in the roof. There is no ceiling,
That's true.
I think this game, they're planning out, like, they have like a 5-year plan, and every 6 months they're going to make huge updates. This upcoming update is what they're calling Winds of War,
Mm-hmm.
and that is more PvP based. So that's pretty exciting. Not what I wanted. Not what, I don't think AOR. You can speak for yourself, but I don't think that's what you wanted either.
Yeah, kind of like what Dome is saying. When they release their plans, they call it a roadmap, basically for all of their upcoming updates that we can expect within the next few years. I kind of wish that the content creator community would allow the developers to unroll their vision as they see fit. Because in like the hour of research that I did, if you go to a lot of these content creators' websites, a lot of their content is based on their live reaction to toxic community in PvP type games like Tarkov, Arma. There's a new game, Delta Force, that's out. And so, in my opinion, it's because of those content creators and their push for a PvP style game that you're seeing the developers curtail their vision a little bit to the feedback that's coming from the community, which I'm a little bit bummed about, but I can see why. Like, they want to attract more players, they want to attract a larger community, and the best way to do that is to listen to the resounding feedback, and it kind of consistently seems to be about PvP.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Whatever you're going to do as a company, you're going to want to bring what's obviously kind of tailored to the community, what they want to see in your game coming up. Although I would say I don't like when games do that. I don't like when games are copy and paste and they just feel like all the same at some point. And what I originally liked Gray Zone Warfare about was its unique way of portraying like a looter shooter. Like, it didn't seem like it was too close like Tarkov, even though like the inventory style might look, pretty similar, you know, and kind of like the loot idea is similar. It still had different ideas, like faction base, like
open map,
three different factions. When you die, it's not like you totally have to reset your character. You're constantly in a server that's just always running. Like, its uniqueness in of itself is what attracted myself to keep playing this game. And I think it's going to hurt a little bit if they focus too much about PvP in the community, because I don't want that to be taken away from lore or actual storytelling that this game could have to offer, which I think, again, is so huge. They have so much. I mean, it's basically clean slate still to this day. I mean, when you do vendor tasks right now, it doesn't go into depth. It just says locate this body, put a tracker on it, come back. Why are we doing that? What is the purpose of me doing that?
Kind of feels aimless given the fact that we're in season 2 of the game's iteration. Because if you go back to like early update 2, I'm going to call it 0.2 because that's what it is. But early update 0.2, the developers, for whatever reason, started including books that we would find in game. Like if you go to Bonpa, Hunter's Paradise, you'll find these books kind of laying around. And they recently added a new book. So now there's 2 books that you see commonly in their titles. It's Roadside Picnic, which I have read, and the New Rules of Warfare, which I've not read. But I did get into basically the spark notes, if you will, to kind of understand what's happening there in that book. But they laid like the perfect foundation, like Dome's saying, for missions that take you places to uncover things and locations, points of interests, and they laid that foundation only to then be like, hey, JK, rather than expound on that and explain why you've been doing what you've been doing for the last 600 hours of gameplay, are actually going to curtail to just PvP right now. And mind you, that's just this upcoming update, which they have labeled as spring of 2025, which is in 2 days.
Right.
So I don't know when they're actually
spring, because their last update they were saying for the longest time that they're going to push the update for Night Ops.
Yeah.
I feel like it got pushed back at least 2 months. Like
Yeah.
I feel like they
It's
were
true.
kind of rushing themselves to get this put out, and once it was out, it was obviously not crisp. Like the first 2 weeks of playing, I mean, there was bugs left and right, and
Yeah.
they were constantly having to fix that with hot fixes.
Which I
And
will
remember
say,
you saying,
like in their
like,
defense, that is what you want to see though, because they know that the game requires work, and I did go so far as to even comment on their live stream of this, uncovering of the big update 0.3 that's coming out in the spring of 2025. And I had commented about like, hey, like I wish you would spend more of your time and energy and resources fixing the gameplay, fixing the performance, and introducing aspects of the game that's been critically missing for the last 600 hours of gameplay that I've had in this game, rather than focus on PvP, because I don't care about PvP when Dome and I, like, our performance on the PC isn't great. Like, if you're running the game at 40 frames per second, like, how much confidence are you going to have going into a fight with other, let's call them PMCs, other real-life players, when your game isn't performing optimally? And they've admitted that the game isn't performing optimally. So in my opinion, it almost just kind of feels unnecessary. Like, fix AI first. Fix the other things first. Yeah, and Arrow's even saying, fix the things at hand now and add a little after. And I 100% agree with that, Arrow. Like, I just think it's funny that, like I don't want to see new guns. I think new guns are fun. But optimizing the game would also be really nice. So I can just so I can just play with what's currently in the game. Like, that would be, if we could get that optimized, that would be fun. Like, that would be nice.
They did the MP5 so dirty. They introduced this brand new gun that was super hyped off rip for Night Ops, and all of a sudden you're having to dump an entire 30-round mag of the highest 9mm round into an AI with no armor. Take it out.
Which they did speak to in depth, and we can get into like more of the details of like the AI patches they're hoping to do in this next update.
On the bench.
But I think
I don't want to go too far from what we kind of touched on earlier, though, because
story mode.
Story mode.
Yeah, I can explain that a little bit more in detail too.
The only thing that I remember from the Night Ops, the biggest thing I got to see that to me was actually huge, that felt different this season, was the bunker in Hunter's Paradise.
Yeah.
But it is so vastly looked over, because all you go is you go inside the bunker. That's brand new location, which was sweet. You mark a body and get out. And I think there's only like 3 AI in between you and that body marker. I was like, when I did that mission, I immediately thought to myself, I was like, what's the point? I was like, dude, this would have been so cool if there was like high tier loot guys here to at least fend off, or if there was
a firearms crate
purpose, like you're looking for a homie that got downed and you're just trying to bring him back, find out he's dead. Give me purpose. I mean, that is the only thing in season 2 that I had to genuinely think about that was actually changed mission wise. As far as season 1, all the missions are the same. I mean, sometimes you didn't even have to pull up TAC map to do certain missions because you already knew by heart where to go, what to grab, which body to mark. And that's just depressing. I mean, we got to do better.
Yeah.
And we're probably not, in reality, we're probably not going to see a difference. The spring update, we're probably not going to see a difference. Again, they wanted to focus more on PvP and all of that, but I mean, for us, I feel like we want to look forward to that in the future.
Yeah, they've revealed so much as to what we can expect in this update, and like, yes, they're reworking the roadmaps. Yes, they're reworking the locations of where the cops are going to be, which we can talk about that more in detail as well. But those cops are going to be basically like mini fobs that are outside of your faction fob that you would have to capture, protect, and occupy to use as a spawning location across the map. So obviously you can see the advantages to that aspect when it comes to the PvP server. And Marek, the CEO, he also said that they're coming out with a PvEP. Well, hold on. PvP and PvE combined server. So there's going to be AI. And then there's going to be a server that's strictly just PvP. So there's no AI. And then your standard PvE servers, which is joint ops now. So I think they have a lot of good ideas. I always get concerned when they reveal as much as they have, because I feel like then they have to rush to
overpromise,
to polish that product that they just discuss at length on a live stream.
That's what they did with Night Ops.
100%.
They were teasing too much.
Yes.
They were teasing too much. They were hinting at we could get all these different potential things. And in reality, when Night Ops came, I think the biggest and only thing that was really different was you got 2 more guns and a day and night cycle. That was it.
It really was. Yeah.
The game is the exact same from season 1. Not saying that you're gonna have the biggest update of all time. It's not gonna be completely different. But when you're teasing like a huge momentum of content and only push out a small portion of that, it kind of puts the community down a little bit. It kind of gets our hopes up for no reason.
And to that point, though, what also upset me is in that like hour of research that I had done, a lot of these content creators, they're not putting in the same hours that like Dome is during the week. They're going to your primary PvP games, like your Escape from Tarkov, like your Arma, like your Delta Force that just came out, and they're not really spending a lot of time in the game. And some of them even will admit, like in their live streams or in the videos, like, yeah, the game was kind of trash. Like, point 1 was terrible, so I didn't play very much of it. I played a bit in point 2 because the Night Ops was kind of exciting, but because it's missing that critical element to them, like they're just not spending as much time in it. But like those are the people who are driving the conversation about what changes to make to the game, and that's why I wish like developers would just follow their vision and roll out what they thought was important to them. But I digress.
I think the biggest promise, not promise, but idea that if anything anybody gave us on how we see Gray Zone turning out to be, I think the biggest thing was that the CEO was like, listen, Gray Zone was meant to be story based.
Yeah.
In the sense of they're supposed to have lore.
Yeah.
And then PvP was obviously going to come second. As how he explained it was,
kind of love that.
To finish the story, you're supposed to finish the lore, you're supposed to understand the game, and when you get bored, you can PvP. And I stood by that. I was like, yeah, I mean that's pretty kick. Yeah, I like that. Like I enjoy that.
I was a fan.
That idea because in reality, when we play Gray Zone, we would smash missions as hard as we could to really grind out, get the levels, upgrade the vendors, get as much quest done as possible, and then we would grind out PvP. And then at the very end, when there was nothing else to do, we would obviously play that player versus player tactic just to kind of increase the risk and the dopamine you get.
Mix it up a bit.
Wiping other factions. Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
I get it.
Like the one thing,
aspects.
The one thing I think that we'll benefit from in this upcoming patch, Dome, is like guys like, you know, Arrow, myself, yourself, even Chief. When we're doing these mission runs, we typically do multiple runs back to back. It's not like we're gonna go do one mission, hop back to base, one mission, hop back to base. So I did appreciate and sort of enjoy the idea of, hey, you can complete a task wherever you are. You don't have to come back to the fob to complete the task. You can be wherever you are, complete the task, and get a new task. So I was like, oh, okay, so they're at least doing things for the story mode, in air quotes, to help progress and forward our progression. But I don't know, man. Like, if you look at the game titles, or excuse me, the book titles that they've released in the game and hidden there as like Easter eggs, if you will, I'm really, really excited about the idea of whatever it is they're hiding in the red zone or gray zone on the map. Because I'm just going to give you guys a quick synopsis of Roadside Picnic and why Dome and I have been so obsessed with the story mode possibilities. Because they're at least alluding to, with that book title, at least my speculation is, I don't know this for sure. It's fun banter regardless, but like in this book, Roadside Picnic, essentially there's this area where extraterrestrials have visited Earth, and then they depart before making contact with humans. And there's like these different zones all around the world, and these aliens leave behind essentially a series of artifacts that have mysterious abilities, and these smugglers, known as stalkers, which later became a movie, they sneak into these zones and then they like acquire those items and then go sell them on the black market, which is why they bring in these contractors, these militias and militaries from all around the world to try and help mitigate these items getting into the wrong hands. Because essentially the idea is if the wrong world power got their hands on something like this, they could dominate the world. And so I get it. You know, it's a pretty fun idea if that's what's hiding within that radiated zone. And I think mixing it up a bit with extraterrestrials or lore about extraterrestrials would be a different take on AAA titles we've seen in the past. Kind of seems like everything's about zombies nowadays. You know? So, I think...
No, I mean, if they... I am, like, here for it, but at the same time not. I feel like that would just be a little too much. If they kept it in the actual, what do you call it? What's the middle zone? Gray zone?
Mm-hmm.
What's the... I think it's called something different.
It might
Hazard
be.
zone or something. Anyway, I feel like that would be cool because the map in reality is freaking huge.
Yep.
If you kept that to like a small section of the map, I wouldn't be too upset about it. But if you made that like the main purpose of the game, I feel maybe some type of way.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Like if it was
I
just
mean,
the very center of that radiated zone.
Yeah. I mean, like, and then you'd have different factions being able to push into it, grab, obviously various different types
High
of
tier loot.
fight for the loot, high tier loot, in the gray zone, fighting off radiation. That would be dope. That would be cool.
Yep.
I'd enjoy that. But then, like, say, obviously you're low level, you're at the starter town, and you do what AOR and I do, is you camp starter towns and kill newbies. You get high tier loot, like the alien loot or whatever, and you're one-shotting everybody, with this high-tier item that you can't get because you're level 4 and you don't have any gear to go into the gray zone.
Yeah.
At that point, it would be too much.
I think the best way that they could implement, if they want to use this idea, I think the best way to implement this would be, it's a radiated zone, so obviously you're going to be running the risk of dying trying to get these artifacts. But if you do end up acquiring this artifact and you sneak out with it and you extract with it, you would obviously get a lot of money. I think would be the benefit. So I think that adds a fun element to the game. I don't know how you would incorporate the concepts from the book Roadside Picnic, but if nothing else, dude, it's the lore. Like, that is some hefty lore that would be epic in this game, and it would also explain why there are 3 military factions surrounding this area, running through towns, trying to figure out what's going on with not just the locals, the local population, but it would help, I guess, build the anticipation for what's hidden and so mysterious within that gray zone.
Sure.
However they slice that pie, I just hope that the lore is as rich as the forest is thick, because if not, you're going to have a game that's 100 miles long but a foot deep. And my healthy fear of this game is that it will become the next Starfield. Like, Bethesda's huge title they dropped was super underwhelming. As a Bethesda player,
it's because they overpromised.
Yeah, as a
what you get. That's what you get when you overpromise.
as a Bethesda player, someone who's played Skyrim the day it was released for the last, I don't even know anymore, 26 years. Yeah, I've been a huge fan.
Huge Bethesda guy.
Yeah.
I mean, same here. I played tons of Skyrim, not nearly as much as you, but I mean, like their Fallout series, all of that. Like,
phenomenal games.
I dove deep into Bethesda games, and they have a good layout. And I hate to make comparisons, obviously, between games because, as I was saying earlier, I don't like to copy and paste things, but is more quality of life things,
Yep.
that we just want to see in the game. Not saying you have to make, a nuke launcher from Fallout 4 or just an absurd sword that is, magic based. I don't know. You get what I'm saying.
I do.
But at the same time, obviously we want to get down to the nitty gritty and just enjoy the game for what it is. I think I almost kind of wanted to touch back on this as too, because I kind of teased it at the very start of the stream, like 10 minutes in. It was like, when I said seasons that they're adding into the game, like obviously
dynamic weather,
the night cycle.
Yeah.
I really struggle with this already, and it's funny because AOR called me earlier today, and we had a little discussion on the phone about how tonight was going to go. I think one of the things that you said that really stuck out to me was capability of the game. I'm scared that they're just going to overload the game to where the only way that you could play it is with the highest tier gaming rig, and I don't want to see that game be that way. I wish the capabilities of running it on a lower kind of styled rig to give more popularity, so to speak, to the people who can't afford those $1,000 rigs. I mean, I think I would love to see that. That when they said seasons, the first thing I thought of, I was like, that's gonna be a lot on my on my GPU or something. That's just gonna be a lot for my computer to even fathom or handle, because it already, I would say, somewhat struggles on the game currently.
Correct.
I'm pushing only 40, 50 frames on average. All of a sudden you're adding raindrops. I love the detail. I wish that I can run that and see that in clarity, but at the same time, I don't want that to restrict players like myself to be able to enjoy the game.
And just to piggyback that real quick, it was funny because as you're saying that, Bent Arrow was saying the rainstorms will literally lag guys right out of the game. And
oh, did he really?
Yeah, that's verbatim. I'm reading what he said in the chat. But on top of that too, like, I know we don't want to compare games, but the best example I can think of, and Bent Arrow was the one who pointed out, a lot of guys that I know personally and he knows personally, they went right back to Ghost Recon Breakpoint because their AI was better balanced, more intelligent. Their seasons and dynamic weather didn't break the game. And so, they're talking about how the landscape's going to transform as a result of these dynamic weather patterns. And I'm a huge fan. Look, Unreal Engine 5 is a beautiful engine. I think it looks great. I wish you guys could see it in the frames that I see it in when I'm playing, especially when I'm not streaming. But to Dome's point, like, there are a lot of guys who don't have $5,000 rigs pushing this game. Like, they're playing on your average common rig. And this is what I mean by, like, hey, rather than introduce more exciting PvP, like, how about you just optimize the game first so that me and my homie can sit down and play together for a couple hours without us lagging out on the bird on the way to Hunter's Paradise, which is 2 minutes from our faction. Like, I don't feel like that's a lot to ask for. And again, I'm not like, complaining or like bagging on the developers. Mostly,
this is what we want to see.
Yeah,
this is what we want to see.
Like, and what's really annoying, bro, is like there's a good possibility that when patch 0.3 comes out, I may not be playing Grey Zone Warfare that much, because if there's like 2 or 3 things, if I do not see these 2 or 3 things, which are exactly what they said they would do, I'm putting it down for 4 or 5 months. Like, that's gonna happen.
Dang.
So
get this guy. Watch out for him. Make sure he's okay.
I'm just
now I'm
like,
scared for patch 3.0.
yeah, but dude, look, they specifically said these 2 or 3 things would happen in patch 0.3 or update 0.3, excuse me. And I'm like, okay, but if it doesn't, I'm not going to spend another 200 hours in this patch playing this update. I'm going to play,
Right.
I'm going to go back to playing Skyrim. I'm going to go back to playing something else that's not as frustrating because they keep not doing what they say they will. Which again, I'm not trying to be stern or like make threats. I'm just saying like what you're saying sounds epic, and I would love to see this game go in that direction. But not only have you changed the vision to curtail to the PvP community, which I think is great, I understand it. But if those other 2-3 things you've mentioned is not in the game at patch 3 or update 3, I am gonna bounce for a couple hundred hours and just wait because
Yeah.
why waste my
I
time?
mean, I get it. I think that touches back to the overpromise. Just
Yeah,
don't
man.
overpromise this stuff,
Yeah.
bro. Please, please, please stop teasing things to us that we're not going to see for. Again, they have a 5-year plan. Don't show me something that I'm going to see in 3 years. I don't care for that. I want to see what's coming up for this next update.
Which
I
again,
want to see what's.
that's cool.
It's cool. It's great.
But also,
I love that you work on the game. Don't tell me crap.
yeah, but also just maybe optimize the game so my homie can see it at 40 frames.
I mean, in reality, like, that's how you bring players to your game. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of times, like, when people can't play a game on a rig, they straight up don't end up buying the game because none of their friends can play the game with them. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they're not going to have that fun option to, you know, really sit down and, like, I only get this a little backstory. Only reason why I bought Gray Zone Warfare was because of AOR.
Mm-hmm.
He is the only reason why I purchased the game.
Mm-hmm.
I saw one clip of it. I was like, oh, that looks interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't think anything of it past that. And I saw this dude playing Gray Zone Warfare by himself on Discord because I had him added on Discord. I probably didn't talk to you for probably over 2 years-ish, roughly. Probably about 2 years.
Sounds about accurate.
And then I just hit you up. I just hit you up randomly one day, and I was like, "Yo, is this game fun?" And you're like, "Yeah, come play it." I legit, I don't like playing the game by myself. I
Yeah.
don't like solo playing unless I have a purpose. Like, if there was story lore, all for it.
Yeah, man.
I grinded season 1 by myself. I did quests by myself. I did a little bit this season, but in reality, it's like I don't like playing the game by myself.
Yeah.
I
get
wish
it.
the Gray Zone community was a little better, in the sense of, you know, joining up. We found some good cookies like Bent Arrow, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
We found some cool freaking dogs to hang out with and to play with, but it's very tight knit. It's very hard to kind of squeeze your way into the community and be like, yo, I'm in this faction, come play, come roll. Because not a lot of people respond.
That's a good point, man.
What it is what it is. I just hope that my rig can run it, because if it can't, I'm not spending 2-3 grand, you know,
Just
on another
update.
rig just to play Gray Zone, you know.
And that's what I mean, man. Like, and that's why I'm saying, like, I think their roadmap is great. I think their plans sound awesome. But again, those 2-3 things that they said they would do in update 0.3, I am nervous because if I do not see what they said they would do in this upcoming update, I just don't know if I'm going to be spending the same amount of time. And it's wild because if you look at how much time Dome Ambition and I have spent playing this game, from the moment we purchased the game until now, I am 9 hours short and shy of 600 hours of gameplay. And I don't see the same investment from a lot of these big ticket content creators spending time going to like these little, you know, points of interest in the middle of the map just to see what's there. And yeah, it kind of bums me out, man, because they have the loudest voice for sure, which is great, you know, props to them. But I'm a little bit nervous about things like PvP, because usually what follows PvP with other, you know, AAA titles or big game titles is those microtransactions. And to Dome's point, I would hate to see this game become a pay-to-play game. I think they would do themselves a great disservice if they start leaning in that direction. And I just hope that doesn't happen because they have this game scratches an itch that I have not been able to find in any other game. Like, they have the foundation for a phenomenal game, but it's because they fail to meet the expectations that they set themselves. They saw a large exodus of players leave the game, and that's why they have mixed reviews on Steam. So, all that to say, if they don't do what they say they will, yeah,
it's gonna be hard to follow up.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
I'm nervous. I'm genuinely like a little bit nervous because they set the expectation, and I now have an expectation based off of the agreement that they made with the community. So I'm gonna be a little bit disappointed. So
I don't know if you noticed, but I will say when I obviously rewatching the stream the developers did, the CEO, as soon as they swapped the merit for the PvP deal, dude, the community was thrilled for it. Like, they were like, yeah. And again, I like PvP. I enjoy PvP. I like the thrill of it. I play PvP quite a bit, and I don't want to take that away. I think PvP is actually in a good spot right now, way better than it was Season 1. Being able to loot a body without having it disappear because the guy that you killed himself to a mine at his base.
Pretty clever.
It is huge. It's clever. It's huge. When they said the PvP though, and I hate when they tease stuff like this because I can't even tell you if we're going to see it or not. So one thing that they teased for the PvP was they're adding trackers to items and or potentially people.
Timeout.
So
how do you feel about that?
Well, that's what I was going to get into.
Like, excited or not excited?
I would say not excited because in the video that I was watching, it literally highlights them as a yellow dot on your on your map. On your map, they pop up on your screen as a yellow dot, and you can come back and try to loot them. The CEO was saying, like, yeah, it adds to interesting things, like you can drop the loot and camp it, wait for them to come back and kill them again, some sort of deal like that. But I'm still like, I don't know about trackers, bro. To know exactly where the enemy is after you die, I think you should lose everything. Agreed. Intelligence-wise.
Yeah.
When you die, like that's a hard reset. There's no, oh, I half died. I know where you're at. Teehee. Let me find my iPhone app and you get my M4 back.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side of that,
it's like, bruh.
On the flip side of that, in the PvE application, I am 100% for that. If I'm with a buddy, or say you're squatted up, and your buddy goes down, to make it more immersive, if you were to have the ability to see your squad mate's tracker, so that your squad mate could run over and grab stuff off of your body, take it back with him to base, and then give it back to you, cool. All for that. Or even if your buddy is just going to go and grab your M4, your Gucci M4 that you spent 10, 12K building in the vendor's shops, 100% for that. I get it. But to Dumb's point, like, there needs to be a certain finality to PvP. Otherwise, it just kind of feels like you're just going to increase the toxicity. Like,
oh, 1,000%. Every AK-308 you're going to find is going to have a tracker on it of some sort, and it's going to be impossible to even get those, because every
Glock, every M4, every brush bag is going to have a tracker on it, because I already know, like, personally, like, I have a weird sentimentality behind the stuff I have as a character in game. Like, I'm going to be sitting there looking at my map fuming frothing at the mouth as a yellow dot goes across my screen because some jerk has my Gucci M4, my Gucci clock, and my rush bag. Like, I already know how.
Watching that would be so disappointing,
bro.
I mean,
It's like watching a dude who's it's like you have your girlfriend's location and you see her in a dude's truck and they're just driving across town. That's how it would feel.
Hey yo.
I'm just saying, bro. That's how it would feel. I would be frothing.
Well concerned. I think if they added it as like a PvE only option, because I know there's been some times where you die and you just have no idea where you are on the map.
Yeah.
You know, in the bushes
100%.
and trees. That makes sense. That would be cool.
Yeah.
PvE standpoint.
100%.
PvP, no.
Yeah.
Get that out of PvP. I couldn't do that in PvP. But you kind of touched up on a subject that I thought was kind of interesting, where you were like, even in PvE, being able to pull loot off of your buddy's body.
Yeah, because currently you get in trouble for that.
Yeah, currently you get in trouble for that. I think it would be different if you were in their squad.
Yep.
Now that would make it different, because it's like you will only want to add people to your squad that you trust enough to pick stuff off your body, right? Now, I think that would be huge, genuinely. I think that's a big point that you touched up on that I didn't even think of until you said it, was like somebody from your squad should be able to loot off of you because they're in your squad. Like, they're in your squad chat. They're able to talk to you through VoIP, and like, you're chilling at that point. I don't see why not. You should not be penalized for trying to help a brother out, help a homie, giving him back his M4, who he obviously doesn't want to run back to Kiobonks or not even to pick it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the low hanging fruit.
He's not trying to go back.
Yeah, the low hanging fruit for that would be just add that as a feature if you're in a squad with some squad mates. Like, if you're in a squad and you're picking up your faction members' items, you will not get penalized. Yeah.
Selecting yes or no to that person. That makes it even better. Dude, you're on one tonight.
But but like, there's a lot of low-hanging fruits with these ideas that they're rolling out. It doesn't need to be complicated. Like, it doesn't need to be 2 years from now complicated. It just needs to be optimized
keep it simple.
In its current iteration. You know, add a little bit of lore, you know, throw a bone to the, I don't want to say the dogs, but the dudes who are the loudest about PvP. But yeah, you know, like, everyone with every game style can benefit from patch 3 if they do this the way they said they would.
Correct. I kind of want to, in the PvP standpoint, they were trying to fix animations as far as what it would look like for AI and PvP
to make them more dynamic.
When we played last, there was a moment where we were running up to Kiobonxa. This was off stream. I don't think we streamed this. We were going to Kiobonxa, and I had shot this AI in the head, and he kind of jolted. He glitched out a little bit as if it didn't register that it hit him in the head, and then you shot him in the neck, and then he died. And then when we checked the body, there was 2 bullet locations in the head and the neck, but the AI wasn't even wearing a helmet. So we're like, why didn't he die from the shot in the head? The CEO had came out and said that ricochets
off the
are
skull.
a thing. Ricochets are a thing currently.
Which they are.
Touched up yet on. And I was like, bro, why didn't you say this forever ago? I felt like I was tweaking all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Update point 2.
I'm hitting them. I'm trying to decide if I'm lagging. I'm trying to decide if my computer's even being registering this correctly. I was like, hey, yo. And as soon as he said that, I was like, that makes total sense. It's like, that makes sense.
But
I was like, it happens, you know?
To be fair to the devs, like, they did talk about the ballistics effects. They did talk about the physics of the projectiles and how they would affect enemy AI If you shoot the ground, they'll bounce up and hit someone. If you shoot the wall, it'll bounce and fragment. Like, they've talked about that since, the earliest version and iteration of the game. However,
Season 1.
however, when you look at that AI that's lying on the ground, and you look at the shot placement from Dome in his head, I'm sorry, that's not a ricochet, homie.
Died. He should have died.
He should have died. Like, look.
In the back of the dome.
If he was wearing a helmet, I could be like, maybe.
Sure.
Maybe. I mean, like
2% chance.
Maybe that AI is highly favored of the gods, and they were like, we're gonna give this guy a gimme.
The Aran gods.
However,
gods.
No, that was not a ricochet. That was a failure of the game developers to optimize the effects of ballistics, animation, hit point, and vitals. Which they did talk about, like, they're going to make them respond to different placements of shots. Like, if you shoot them in the guts, they're going to have a different response. Or if you hit them in the head now, they may go uncon, but then wake up later still alive.
Go a little dizzy.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I like the idea of that a little bit, because there is what's called a security round in certain lines of work that I'm familiar with, where, they'll just shoot an extra round or two into their target to ensure their death. So I was like, hey, that's cool. I can appreciate that. But also, Dome shot this dude square between the eyebrows. There's not a lot of survivability.
There's not a lot of room.
No. The rate of survival in that particular situation is pretty low. So I don't know.
Jesus was with homie, bro.
He had some god with him that day, that's for sure. None of the ones I worship. But
oh, that's funny.
I don't know, man. I was just like, what are we looking at here? But they obviously pointed that out. I think they recognize the areas that they need significant work, which was refreshing. Like, I like to hear that as like someone who's got 591 hours in the game. I like hearing that they are planning to fix their stuff, fix their game. Like, that's what you want to see. You want to have that kind of feedback. You want to have that rapport with your developers. That is a healthy sign and a good indication that this game will do great things and go far. And to be fair, when I first purchased the game, I had probably 11 minutes of actual gameplay when I first started. I was in a warfare lobby, and I was shot in the back by dudes in my faction who just wanted to loot my body. So I returned the game. And then I couldn't find a game that had the same scratch to my itch. Like, Escape from Tarkov is fun. It's got some good elements to the game, but it wasn't quite the same as like that 20-minute experience. So I had re-downloaded the game and played. And here I am, almost 600 hours later. We can't put it down. Dome and I can't put it down. It's too fun. But I am going to be low-key kind of sad though if they don't fix that.
I don't want it to feel like that we're just pooping on the game just because I genuinely enjoy the game.
I love the game.
And I've been actually enjoying it a lot more recently in Season 2 than earlier, obviously, because there's a lot of issues. But, retouching up on PvP and doing runs to like Kiovanxa and Non-Thaven with AOR here.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's for sure rekindled my
excitement.
love for the game again.
Same.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all I have as far as my notes taken. I mean, there's lots of opportunity for the game. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to touch up on.
Yeah, I've got
sure
2 items.
Open up the floor as well at some point for
Anyone in the chat,
and anybody else who's watching who has questions or wants to see something or have a topic of discussion for us to kind of touch up on. But I'll leave the floor to you and my input.
So if anyone in the chat who's still watching right now, if you had any questions or ideas you wanted to roll past us, now's your time to go ahead and throw those in the chat. We'll keep an eye out while I discuss these last 2 bullet points I have from the developer chat discussion with the community leaders. The 2 things I wanted to end this with, which I am pretty excited about, but also I think is worth mentioning, is they did open the floor to some of the community leaders and ask for feedback of things they would like to see implemented into the game. And the very first thing that was said, and my heart jumped and skipped for joy. The very first thing, and I think his name is Clean, is his handle, aka Clean on YouTube. The very first thing out of his mouth was, "We'd like to see more ground-based vehicles." And I was like, hell yeah, brother. It made me so happy because I think if you look at the sheer size of the game, the map in game, they would do well to implement a ground-based vehicle. And he even went so far as to give them a low-hanging fruit, which I almost peed myself a little because I was like, this guy, he gets it. He's like, we're not asking for tanks or armored vehicles. I just want a moped. Like, you can give me a Vespa to get around a map. He was like,
give me a bicycle that goes faster than 5 kilometers per hour, and I will be okay, because that'll get me there a lot faster than some 2 feet of mine and some methyl that takes 5 years to get to Namthaven or Kielbangsa. You know what I mean? Like, we're popping stretch pens just to go half across the map. But
honestly,
in reality, a fix to that, it doesn't even have to be motorized. Give us a bicycle. Give us something.
Yeah.
And I think that'll best help with travel. Either that or make more landing zones. That kind of sounds crazy, but I think if you don't give us, obviously, the low-hanging fruit of vehicles, give us more landing zones. I think that would help decrease the options of, having a fit over where you're going,
Yeah. And they did.
I think it's really.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think no, you're good. I think it's difficult as well at times when you're like trying to do missions back to back to back.
Yep.
But the missions are spread out over, let's say Fa Lang, but the missions like touching all 4 different parts of Fa Lang. Like, you're having to do this huge loop around Fa Lang.
Yeah.
I think that can be improved.
Yeah, and part of their anticipation, at least with the landing zones, was like, hey, with these cops, the idea is if you capture these, occupy these, and protect these areas, you can use them as spawning points, which I think is great. I think that's a wonderful answer to them avoiding ground-based vehicles like it's the plague. I don't know why, dude, but if you look at, and I'm trying not to like compare other games, but having played a few titles that utilize Unreal Engine 5, I don't think it would be that far-fetched. Complicated, yes.
It's really not. I mean, it's...
Would it require time? Obviously.
Of life. Quality of life.
Will it require, hefty resources on the developer's side of the house, or curtain, if you will, to make that dream, that pipe dream, a reality? 100%. So, in order to alleviate some of these issues, because we can anticipate this game going in the direction of microtransactions. Any successful game, I hate to say it, I hate to see it, but all games that are successful right now, it's because of the microtransactions. So, what I would propose to the community who's happening across this video is, if microtransactions are going to be a part of this game, you want to seize as much control of what those are. What you do not want is, you do not want a high tier kit. You don't want things like weapons that give you capabilities unlike what you would get from inside the game. What you do not want is purchasing ground-based vehicles. You don't want that. What you want is things like, give me the option to customize my weapon. I want, to change the color. I want to change the pattern. Give us clothes that we can purchase, like fancy flannels, better looking pants, cooler looking shoes. It's those things that you want to see in microtransactions, which do not affect the way the game functions. It's not going to give anyone an edge. Like, you're definitely going to look cooler, but you're not going to perform any better in the game.
Okay. Got
And so I think Dome's talking to someone in the background right now. Pardon the interruption. But Dome, you want to mute yourself real quick? I'm gonna keep.
Could you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, what? I thought my mic was.
No, you're straight, bro. But to continue on that topic, though, what you want to have out of microtransactions, which are inevitably going to happen in this game, is you want them to be ones that are insignificant to the performance of the game, insofar as it makes you better at playing. We can still hear you, Dome, just so you know.
What? Can you really?
Yeah.
Dude, how? Hold on. No, keep going. Sorry, I'll just mute myself.
You're good. But the last thing I will say is I would like to see, and again, the problem, right? Marek, the CEO, the founder of Madfinger Games, he specifically said that they are entertaining the idea of implementing ground-based vehicles at some point in the game. I almost like hated to hear that. I'm not I'm not bagging on the game or the developers. Trust me, I have as much respect as anyone could demand of those developers. I think they've provided us a wonderful gaming experience thus far with the iteration that we currently have. However, and Dome's alluded to this multiple times, I think because they reveal too much of their hand too soon, it kind of sets an expectation that things are coming sooner than later. And I think that kind of bites them in the back a little bit because, again, I think the major successes that the developers have had with these patches, but also their updates, is their ability to manage expectations. And so I would like to see more of that happen as these updates roll out, as they unravel and reveal more of their roadmap in the upcoming updates and patches. Piggybacking on the microtransactions, what I will say is it's not hard. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit. Like, I am super happy to throw additional money and funds at the game if that means the developers will have more resources available. They can hire on new developers to bring us a more polished product with the game. Some other things that I think would be worth mentioning is, and again, I don't want to compare the game to a different title, but in Breakpoint, in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, one of the things you could do was sit down at a fob or even a overnight camp, if you will, and you could go in and customize your character. You could prepare rations, meals that give you buffs, which they don't have to do. What I'm mostly referring to is the ability to just have more depth to the customization of your character. Pretty low-hanging fruit, and it could be like a pack that you buy, kind of like the Supporter Edition pack or the Elite Edition pack. Like, having the option to purchase those packs would provide the developers with more resources or money to bring us a more finished product. And I 1000% support that idea more than something that would change your ability to play the game or improve your ability to play the game. Like a weapon that can only be purchased through a pack or DLC. Like, we don't want downloadable content to give players the upper hand. And so far, like, even with the Supporter Edition or Elite Edition, there really isn't that significant of a difference. Like, do you have a larger inventory? 100%.
Yes, correct.
But, like,
I don't think there's.
that doesn't make you better at playing the game. It doesn't.
Yeah, what makes you? We have pretty much everything that everybody else has. I mean, they can unlock the TAS, the bigger locker, for completing all of their missions. We just get it off the rip because we obviously paid for the supporter edition. I think that's a huge bonus, and I think you touched up on it when we first started .20 is when it first landed. I was kind of bummed because I was like, dude, Sport Edition doesn't really get ish. And you were like, well, you don't want to pay to play because then everybody would buy it.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to make other players earn it, who didn't pay for the Sport Edition, which makes sense. I get that. I
Yeah.
do, on the point that you were saying, do wish there was at least some recognition for being a supporter. The only thing right now that you get as far as recognition is on the map itself. It'll show the golden triangle right next to your name,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that you bought the supporter edition. I think they could go as far as one upping that and giving like a camo jacket that you can wear, you know, just like visibly see that, like, hey, I supported this game, paid a lot of money for it. I hope, obviously this game continues to get better. I'm going to rep the swag. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there may be clothing items like a mask or something that you get from that supporter edition. I don't even know, to be honest. It might be like a trouser and some pants, or sorry, a blouse and then some trousers. There may be that already. But to Dump's point, like, I think just something that you could see in game rather than just a badge above their name. It's like ooh, this guy's got supporter edition. Nice, you know. Um, there's a lot of nuance that we could talk to at length, but I think as far as tonight's concerned, I think we've covered some pretty good bases and aspects of what they've disclosed at their last leadership meeting with the community, and so I think we're at a good place to at least bring this discussion to a close. There is a possibility that Dome and I will be streaming, in addition to this discussion board, actual gameplay tonight. So stay tuned possibly for that. But I don't know, Dome, do you want to maybe offer like
Game?
one idea of something you'd like to see implemented in the game that you would have loved to see implemented in patch 3, or excuse me, update 3?
I think in reality, I like what you're saying. Very start. The guns are fine. Obviously, they need tweaks.
Mm-hmm.
They need balances. We need quality of life. I want purpose. I want to know what we're doing is meaning something for in game. Because it's like the only thing we do is we do these tasks, and sure, we get rep for it. That's it.
Yeah.
I want something more than just rep.
Yeah.
You know?
And
But
even
that's it. And I think they took away A1 ammo that you can buy that was in season 1. I think that was a big bummer. I'd like to see that come back.
Mm-hmm. And I think an easy low-hanging fruit even there is that this isn't my original idea, and I feel bad because I don't actually remember who suggested it in the chat, so I feel terrible for not being able to give credit where credit's owed. But in the chat during one of our streams of gameplay, someone had mentioned the idea of like, hey, how do you feel about the idea of implementing tiers, not too dissimilar from like Call of Duty? So you would kind of start over.
Nate.
It might have been Nate. So
I'm pretty sure it was Nate.
So you can start over the missions and like have something to do in the game again, but without having to wipe like I've done 3 times now and just update 0.2. The only reason, if I'm being honest, that I did the first wipe and update 0.2 was because I wanted to increase exponentially the amount of money I had on my character. So it's purely, financial reasons in game for the economy. But the second one that I did was because I wanted to have something to do. Like, to Dump's point, he's level 41 or 42 now. And at his hours in the game, unfortunately, in patch 2, there's literally nothing for him to do other than be a menace and go cause chaos at starting towns or PvP engagements, because what else do you do in Warfare besides loot runs and fight other players? So a low-hanging fruit. Just give players like Dome tiers. Like, he can be a new tier, keep all of the items that's currently in his locker, and redo the missions. Like, at least then he'd have something to do.
Yeah.
Increase
unlock camos for prestiging.
Yeah, unlock like little trinkets that you can add on your clothing Give him the ability to get tattoos in his arm, like something not too dissimilar from other gaming titles, like Ghost Recon Breakpoint, like the Call of Duties, like all the other PvP games that exist. Like, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think you guys have a very good base, a phenomenal game that we all love playing and we want to play more of. However, like, what do we do in the 1 to 200 hours between the last update that you're level 40 at? You're maxed out, bro. You've done all the missions minus the random missions that get picked up in field.
Right.
Like,
there's nothing else for me to do.
There's nothing else for you to do.
That's kind of what stapled me off. I kind of quit playing a little bit on my off time just because I was like, there's no purpose. I'm not really doing much but head hunting, and nobody's on. I'm not gonna do that by myself. Wasn't really feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. I mean, I'm on board with you 1000%. Could not agree more. Will the devs ever listen to this discussion? One day.
Maybe.
I'd like to hope. One day.
I wish they knew how much we cared, how much time we spent investing our time and
it's
money
just hard when
and energy.
When you were talking earlier, it's like other creators who don't put nearly as much time into it, has a heavier weight of a voice into the game as much as us. And it's just like, it stinks, bro, because it's like, we already enjoy the game. We just want to improve some minor things, you know? Well, at least I feel like they're minor things. Maybe it's big for, obviously, the development of the game, but to me, I feel like we're not asking much. We're not asking for a ton. We're not asking you to totally remask your game. We just want quality of life.
Yeah. And I'm more than happy to throw microtransactions at this game if they will increase the speed in which we get these updates and these patches. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated. Give us tattoos, give us bandanas, give us the ability to rattle can our weapons, like give us paint options, paint jobs, give us wraps that we can put on the weapons, make us look cool, like stuff that we want to do anyway. You know, rule number 1, always look cool. And if you can
always look cool, if
you can give us that, I would gladly throw another $15-$30 at this game if it means I can do that. Yeah, give me some tattoos, something to customize my character. Give me some flannels, bro. Give me some nice Wranglers and some Carhartt boots, or some 511s of any kind. And I'll throw extra money at the game if that means you get more developers on board with your team, or you have more time and resources to throw at the game to improve your processes. Then great, all for it. But what I do not want, and will absolutely despise, is microtransactions that improve your ability to play the game. Don't want that.
I agree. Don't do that.
Keep the field level, you know. Anyway, guys, if you made it this far into the stream tonight,
we appreciate the hell out of you.
Appreciate the hell out of you. Dome beats me to it every time. But really, we do. You know, obviously, we care a great deal about this game. We have some high expectations, at least so much as they've disclosed to us about what's coming in the future weeks and months, for what will be Winds of War, the update 0.3 to the game.
For sure.
And I'm excited. I'm stoked.
You guys are the reason why we even think of podcasts like this. We want to interact with y'all. We already enjoy the game. We already enjoy the content that we create. We do this for y'all and ourselves, but for both. But I appreciate you guys. I don't think you guys should ever take this moment lightly with AOR doing the face cam. I don't know if he's going to continue to do it, but you know.
I will. Maybe. I don't know.
Depends on the night. That's a monumental moment.
Yeah.
That's a monumental moment.
There are some nights when I enjoy just a bag of Funyuns and sitting here in my underwear. Not gonna lie, that's kind of nice.
The room that he's in, I'll have to spice it up, bro. I'll have to come over. We'll make a setup.
Yeah.
I got some extra foam panels I can let you use.
It's funny that you said that because even my girl, when she was walking in here, she was like, "Do you want me to like add my touch to that? Because it's kind of missing some stuff." And I was like, they just can't see the other sides of the wall. Like, it's just the way it's set up, unfortunately. But I've got tons of foam panels sound absorbing, sound dampening panels in here because this room used to echo real bad. But I don't know. At least you can kind of see the PC rig. You know?
Yeah. No, it looks sick.
But
I like it.
We'll see. I don't know. This was definitely monumental for more reasons than one tonight. So for that reason, we appreciate you guys joining. Please head over to Dome Ambition, like and subscribe to him, like and subscribe to this channel if you guys want to see more of this content. Now that I understand how, I will say it does actually help to build this channel. It would definitely give us a voice where we currently do not have one with the changes that may be coming to this game in the future. It would also help us build our algorithm so that it gets seen by more people. And the more people who can see this, maybe they agree with us, maybe they disagree with us. Either way, tell us in the comments down below. I love to hear it. We're here for the banter.
Same.
Until next time, have a good Tuesday night. We'll talk about that after. Let's just close this. Let's just wrap this up. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, have yourselves a good night.
1 hour discussion.
Bye.
Peace.